Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. Today we have with us Nigel Thomas. He is the CEO of Alpha Inbound. Nigel, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Quinn. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Just before we go any further, I actually had a question for you, Quinn.
Sure.
Is it true when you were still working in the 9 to 5 that you installed waterproof speakers in your shower to cram in extra learning time for listening to podcasts?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I did. And I got the Alibaba cheap waterproof speakers. And then about, probably every 30 days, I would have to get a new one to replace it. But I was trying to optimize everything. And I would go in the shower, turn on my podcast, leave the iPhone on the counter, and then go in there and
crazy.
Yes.
So to anyone out there listening on their bathroom speakers, hello and welcome.
Exactly. If somebody's doing the same as me, welcome. And here I am with Nigel. So Nigel, tell me, how did you get started into this e-commerce world?
Yeah, so it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I actually started my own marketing agency. I mean, I obviously getting into, like you said, listening to podcasts, reading books. And then I started doing freelancing, actually. So focusing on the marketing side, using platforms like Upwork and getting opportunities to work with some decent sized e-commerce brands. And then I realized that they take a pretty chunky commission, those platforms. So why not learn sales and then go to these brands directly? So that's when I started my own marketing agency. That was about 4 years ago. I kind of went out into the real estate market and helped build an even bigger marketing agency. And then I've come back into the e-commerce landscape, teamed up with an old business partner. And here we are today, building Alpha Inbound. And yeah, we focus on customer acquisition. But the one thing I will say is, Quinn, is there's a lot of marketing agencies out there. And to anyone listening who has, a bad taste in their mouth for working with a marketing agency, well, I'm not surprised, because the stories I hear all the time, people they don't seem to care too much. They're just in it for the short term. And our mission statement is for e-commerce brands to both trust and respect the modern day marketing agency. And that's where we're really heading.
And that's something that I appreciate that you mentioned. It's something that you do, because it's so true. A lot of people want to get into it, and like their agency is something temporary. It's not.
Yes.
It's not like something they want to do forever, and so they treat their customers that way. It's like, okay, I got your 1 month retainer, so I'm good. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that ruins it for everybody.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of education that a lot of brand owners, they just don't have the time, obviously, the education. So they get told all these amazing figures about big returns on investments and things like that. Well, the agency owners, they don't really know. They're shooting themselves in the foot, because in reality, what's happening is they're just destroying the market reputation for agencies. And longer term down the line, which is the situation right now, it's harder for them to even get a foot in the door because there's so many bad experiences. What will be better is to actually have an honest conversation up front, analyze everything. That's what we do at Alpha Inbound. And if it's not the right time, just be honest, because long term, you've got to be in the business of helping people.
Absolutely. That's it. Know if you can or cannot help that customer. Don't just take everybody that comes and knocks on your door. That's fantastic. So, yeah. Nigel, you were the Chief Growth Officer, and now you are the CEO of Alpha Inbound.
Yes, I focus a lot on building partner relationships and on the sales front of the company. So I managed to do a little sale on the company owner myself. But in all fairness, it was mainly down to the fact that it's understanding, and Josh, who is the company owner at our company, it's having that humility to understand who has the most experience in what role. And we got some pretty aggressive targets, but everyone in the team understanding those strengths and weaknesses, and then obviously putting themselves in those different positions. So we just felt at this time to grow this company, the experience I had of leading teams, for me to come in as the CEO, and we can really focus on driving growth. And Josh is focusing on the fulfillment side, and he heads up the fulfillment team. But yes, of course, I'm really excited. And yeah, we've got a really exciting 2022 coming up. But I do appreciate you taking the time to say that, Quinn.
So I know that it's not just ads. It's not just all you do is not ads. And now recently, you got something that's newer and exciting, and some SMS marketing.
Yes, so, that's right.
Can you tell us exactly what it is, and is it working?
Well, yes, of course it's working. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it, Quinn. But in all honesty, yeah. So what we've noticed, so we predominantly focus, we work with a number of high-profile, multi-seven-figure direct-to-consumer brands, and we focus on the customer acquisition, so Facebook and Instagram. And what we really noticed is to have a successful brand, you need the brand economics in place. Now, obviously, this requires good retention on the back end, and most people obviously focus on email marketing for retention. Now, let me just say this before I go any further. SMS marketing should not replace email marketing. Email marketing should be about 20 to 30% of the total revenue of the business. This is just to add another weapon into the arsenal. But when we are doing all of our reviews with our partners, because even though we focus on the customer acquisition, we look at the macro of the business because we need to do that for building long-term partnerships. We noticed that no one was really using SMS marketing. And we started doing some testing and we started getting some amazing results. So in terms of the actual numbers, 95% open rates, 50% click-through rates, and up to 30x ROI. Now, I will say, obviously, those numbers will vary, and it depends the quality of the traffic that's hitting the website. But the fact of the matter is, it's a true blue ocean. And the more important thing to mention is actually, this is a great way to build brand loyalty, if done correctly. I need to have the compliance in place, but this is a great medium to have one-to-one interactions with your customers. And I speak to a lot of brand owners, Quinn, and they challenge me and they say, well, won't this just annoy my customers? I'm sending an SMS all the time. So I asked them, have you spoke to your customers? Have you asked them? Because guess what? The market research shows that customers actually prefer SMS because it's direct to the point and it builds that one-to-one interaction. If you do it wrong, by the way, you're going to really annoy your customers. But if you do it right, it's a great opportunity to build that loyalty. And the way I would say it to make you understand easier is it should look like a message that's coming from a friend. It should have that personal touch and be congruent with everything that you're doing with your branding. But yeah, it's fair to say it's a true blue ocean. And we're actually doing a pilot right now at Alpha Inbound before we want to go to market with this service properly. But get in the door now, because in 12 months' time, probably everyone's going to be doing SMS marketing, and then it's going to be like email marketing, right?
Yes. So you did touch on a point where it depends how it is done, because there are, when I do get certain texts, they go directly to the jugular, try to sell immediately, just out of nowhere. And to me, that is spam. And if I can, I will block that number right away. So you have like a friendlier approach where you actually, do you say the person's name on that first?
Yes, okay. Of course.
Okay, good. So you say something as a friend. Give me an example of a first message.
Yeah, so honestly, it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Like if I was to sit here and tell you there's one strategy here that you can apply to every single brand, I think I'd be giving inaccurate advice. The point is it depends how the brand's set up. And maybe you need a product which needs a bit more education. So in that sense, you could have some sort of an ebook that you could be driving people to from the SMS. Maybe, yes, you've got more of a community-based brand and you want to give people access to a Facebook group, for example. So it's all about building value and trust. So the first message, yes, of course, it should have the first name. And also, you want to, if people are very high level of intent, you do want to take advantage of that. So the cart abandonments, you should have a direct link back to the product they were buying, not just to the website. So it's more personalized. But if we're talking about, outside of that, in terms of building that trust, yes, it should be something along the lines of building them value. So when they see that They're going to, be nurtured into your brand ecosystem, and they're going to remember you. And they're probably going to get, like you said, a few texts each week. So is that going to be the one text which really stands out? So it depends on how the brand's built, but you have to have a think about how this can fit in to your overall strategy, because kind of like the email marketing newsletter, a lot of brands already had a lot of this content. They're just not packaging it up right and then thinking about the customer.
Got it. I actually, for a second, I forgot that you're not just doing this for your brand, you're doing it for other people's brands. That's why every case is a different case, because you do it for several brands. It's not okay. Yeah. Because normally people like the seller itself. If I'm a seller, I know my audience. So I already know that you have so many different audiences.
Yeah, for sure. Although sometimes, Quinn, it does feel as though it is my brand for a second because I get so involved, but maybe that's just one of my weaknesses, but we're just really passionate about what we do.
That's a strength, Nigel. When you get involved into something as if it was your own, I mean, that's the people I want to deal with. Somebody that treats my brand as if they own it. Right. Of course, don't go spending the company money randomly as if you did own it. But that's what I appreciate. Right. People that treat my brand as if they owned it and take care of it and try to grow it as if it was me.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I can give a very high level outline if that would be interesting to your listeners, you think, for the SMS strategy, just the kind of the top 5 things that you need to focus on if you're looking to implement this to your brand. Yeah. So the first one is making sure you've got the right provider set up. So I'm going to assume at this point, if you're not obviously on Amazon, you migrated across, you're going to be using Shopify, because that's predominantly what most sellers are using right now. So there's a few different apps, but you want to do your own research. So jump on some demo calls, understand them. But SMS Bump, Attentive, Via Customers, Postscript, they're a few of the main carriers, but just go and do your own research. They've all got similar functionalities. There's a little bit of customization here and there, but go and check them out. Once that's sorted out, compliance, that's the big aspect. So like you said, when you obviously got the spam coming through, were you properly notified on the website that you were obviously signing up to receive SMS? I'm not so sure, because a lot of the time brands don't set up the compliance properly. Now, not only are you going to annoy your customers if you don't do that, you're obviously going to be potentially in a legal battle, because the costs now, obviously, for example, in Europe, we've got really strong GDPR coming in. The SMS regulations are changing all the time, and you need to be up to date with this stuff. So if you're not, obviously you're going to run into some legal issues, but it's honestly not that complicated. A lot of these providers will actually walk you through the process. Just make sure you've got all the compliance set up on your site. Then from there, you want to focus on the subscriber growth, because obviously if you don't have anyone to send messages to, kind of like with your email list, it's not going to be too profitable. So the best thing you want to do actually is you want to attach the SMS opt-in to the email opt-in. So the first part of the opt-in on, most brands will have an opt-in for their email marketing. Once they hit submit, then the next page, we found it best to do it like that, the time recording, is to just drop in their phone number. Now, you want to be clever about this. So you want to say something on the lines of, be part of our VIP community, but don't just say that and then not back it up. Actually give them something so they can be part and feel special and have something exclusive, a part of that VIP community. And then the other thing is, depending on how the brand's built, is if you've got, for example, a YouTube channel, or you do live selling, which is becoming more popular now, you want to have a call to action there, where it's, if you want to be part again of our VIP list, then just text in this keyword or use this link, and you can, opt in to receive special offers and different things, obviously, that are adding value to their brand. After you build the list, then, like I said, the lowest hanging fruit will be the automations. So abandoned carts, make sure it's set up properly, make sure it looks personalized, like it's coming from a friend. Just be direct to the point. No need to overcomplicate this. And then after that, you have flows and campaigns. So, for example, with an email campaign, if we're just using that because most people understand it, you're going to have, maybe it's a newsletter or something to do with a new product, some sort of innovative thing, something special they want to know about your brand. This should be included on the SMS side, But remember, it's not email marketing. It has to be a lot different. So a lot more to the point and just giving people a reason to obviously go and check these things out. So they're the main things you need to sort out. Again, that's very high level. You can get into the nitty gritty a lot more. But if you get those things right, you'll be onto a good start and you'll be ahead of 90% probably of your competition who aren't even using SMS right now. And I know that because we're doing an SMS pilot right now, and the brands we're speaking to, none of them really are using SMS marketing. And when I show them the numbers that we're getting, like 30x ROI, they're just completely blown away by it. And it's mainly because of the ignorance, the fact they don't think it's going to work. So I'm just challenging to anyone out there listening, test it small first. When you start seeing those returns, if you've done it all right, then you'll be excited. And I can just tell you now, it's a massive opportunity. Quite a long-winded one, that, but I hope it was valuable.
No, it is valuable. And for anybody listening, testing is the key to almost everything, right? So don't just assume something is not going to work. Test it and make sure it does or it doesn't, because sometimes you may be right. If you think it doesn't work, it may not work, but you will be surprised how many times I test things. Nigel, and one of the things I test, for example, just a side note here, is images. And I look at a certain image, pardon me, and I like image A more than image B. Yep. And then we actually do the test. Image B is the best converter. So I was wrong, but I actually do test it, right? So everything should be tested. And like Nigel said, for everybody listening out there, if you are selling on Amazon and you are not selling outside of Amazon, this is a reminder that it is time for you to test that out as well. Go check out Shopify. They don't have any affiliation with them or anything. So go to Shopify. They'll give you a free trial. I don't know if it's 14 days or 30, 60, whatever, but check it out and put your brand out there. And then you can get into systems like Nigel was saying with SMS and get your brand known.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So Nigel, now let's, one of the things that's going to come up pretty soon here, and this is one of those things that normally on podcasts, you don't talk about dates and stuff because a podcast can be heard 2 or 3 months from now. But we have Black Friday coming up really soon here. What are some of the tips or do's and don'ts, or what should we do to prepare for it for those that are going to listen to the episode as soon as it comes out?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. Firstly, the foundation needs to be set up right. But just quickly, we're talking about on brands that are obviously on Shopify, right, as opposed to Amazon sellers, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, so firstly, you need to have the foundation right. And this isn't just Black Friday, Cyber Monday. This is any time of the year. And then I'll touch on specific Black Friday things. Now, for the brand economics, this is the foundation. There's 4 key metrics that you need to understand. And honestly, this is probably the best advice you're going to get if you're looking to build a brand outside of Amazon. The first one's margins. To be honest, if you're advertising on, let's say, Facebook, which is the best customer acquisition channel at the time of recording, you need to have above 50% margins, excluding the marketing cost. Your average order value, that needs to really be above $50. So if you've got a low market product price, then focus on the upsells and whatever else, but get that above $50. The next one, conversion rate, needs to really be above 2% site-wide. Again, it is dependent somewhat, but if conversion rate's a problem, look at your add to cart rate. That should be between the 10 to 15% range. You might need to do some optimization there. And then the last one, which is probably the most important, lifetime value. You need to know within a 30, 60, 90, 180 day and 365 day windows, how much money people are going to be spending. Because as these costs go up, and Black Friday, it's going to be the most expensive one ever in terms of CPMs on Facebook and everywhere else, all different channels. You need to have this in place because the big brands, what they're doing is they're understanding that they don't need to make money until their second or until the second or third purchase, which means they can spend more on acquiring that customer. I mean, how are you going to be able to compete with that? And a great example, if you didn't know this, Quinn, Starbucks actually have a lifetime value of $10,000 for every customer that walks into Starbucks. So when they spend millions on advertising all the time and branding, they know that. They know that every person who walks into Starbucks for the first time, over the course of their lifetime, they're going to spend $10,000. So when you understand these numbers, you're always going to be able to beat your competition, no matter how good the tips and tricks are. Brand economics is the most important thing. And a pro tip is a subscription model massively helps if you can do that around your product. Now, in terms of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday tips, what you want to do is focus on, obviously, the deals. So the deal needs to be better than it usually is at different times of the year, because people want a discount at this time of year. So make sure it's a really enticing deal, but make it stand out. Maybe it's a value add. If you have a certain product, then offer in something for free with it, because you need to be able to stand out on the news feeds when you're advertising your brand, because everyone's running offers. So think about something that's going to make you stand out. That's obviously really important. Then the second thing is, if you understand your lifetime value, you can actually focus on driving in leads for email marketing and for SMS. So you don't necessarily need to have the product purchase up front. You can drive people into, let's say, a VIP list. And that way, you don't have to spend as much up front, but on the back end, you're going to be successful. Most brands aren't doing that. So obviously you've got an edge in on the competition. So the third one I would say is literally slipped my mind, but it's making sure, for the retargeting. So iOS has caused a lot of issues with data. So we can't really track the data that accurately. So you need to group together your retargeting pools more now. For example, if it's Facebook or Instagram, and you want to segment it really through the copy and the creative. So you have to have, as always, with all marketing, you have to have copy and creative. The first 3 seconds of that creative needs to be a scroll stopper. That's so important. But what you need to understand is you've got to be able to stand out. Because like I said, everyone else is doing the same advertising. And when you're retargeting, the copy and the creative, because you can just run to a broader audience because of the lack of data, can do the targeting for you. So you need to target it to the personas. So they're the main tips. I'd say they're, fairly general, but it really depends on the brand. Just make sure you're unique, make sure you stand out, and make sure it's an enticing discount, which people remember. And, it's going to be good word of mouth marketing.
That is amazing. So, Nigel, now tell me something. For everybody that's listening right now, it doesn't matter if they're in the shower with their Bluetooth speakers that are waterproof, or if they're in the treadmill, and they want to know more about your SMS marketing. They want to know more about your company and you. Where do they go to find you?
Yeah, sure. And also, I will say, apart from the bathroom listeners, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, and a happy New Year whenever you are listening to this. Now, in terms of Alpha Inbound, so like I said already, we do a lot of due diligence of the partners we work with. And the way we start that before starting a working relationship is we do what we call a strategic audit. So this is a full 4-page document analyzing your current customer acquisition strategy, the full customer journey, and analyzing the brand economics, including lifetime value analysis. Because from our side, as well as obviously providing value and starting a relationship built on trust and respect, we want to make sure that we can actually deliver long-term for these partners based on the wide variety of data that we have. So doing that due diligence and actually turning a lot of business away because it's not the right time has maintained really healthy relationships and mean that a lot of the partners we work with stay for at least 12 months. Now, how we start that process of the audit is if you go to alphainbound.com/quiz. So alphainbound.com/quiz, you'll go through to a quiz, which will ask you a few questions and see if you qualify for a strategic audit with Alpha Inbound. After that's done, we'll have a quick call to understand your current vision, what's going on for your brand. And within 72 hours, we'll be able to get one of these 4-page documents together, analyze everything. And even if we don't work together, we will point you in the right direction because we're in the business of helping people. And when we go through that, we'll have a strategy session and go through all of that document and give you the idea. So like I said, alphainbound.com/quiz, you'll be able to find the right direction there. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me personally, Nigel at Alpha Inbound, I can answer any questions. And that goes for anyone on Amazon who's looking to migrate over to Shopify. And as well, of course, sellers that are already building their brand on Shopify and really looking to scale and want to have that foundation in the right place.
There you go. So again, alphainbound.com/quiz. And Nigel's email is nigel@alphainbound.com. I'll have those in the show notes. So dry yourself if you're in the shower, dry yourself and get to the show notes and you can have these links. Nigel, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you and thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine, Quinn. I really appreciate it. And all the best of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, anyone out there, and have a fantastic start to 2022.
Thank you.